Recap in minutes. In today's video, we will be enjoying a crime action film, entitled Elite Squad. There will be spoilers ahead, chill out and enjoy. The movie begins in the year 1997. Officer Captain Oliveira and his fellow officers are on their way to a baile funk while driving through Morro de Babilona. It is evident that Nasamento, along with his other colleagues, is riding in their armored car. During this time, rookie police officers Matias and Neto Gouveia are spotted riding a motorcycle in the same favela. After they have made it to a vantage point, Neto utilizes the scope of a sniper rifle to keep an eye on the police team as they are having a conversation with some drug dealers. Matias and Neto are forced to flee the scene after Neto shoots one of the thugs, which sets off a deadly gunfight between the police and the other gangsters, with neither side knowing who fired the bullet that started the conflict. Nasamento and his fellow policemen from BOPE, the Rio Special Police Department, are making their way to the scene of the shooting in order to intervene and save the officers. In the flashback from 6 months earlier, Nasamento and his wife Rosen are depicted while she is pregnant with the couple's first child. Because Nasamento doesn't want to miss out on being there for his child's birth, he decides to look for a new captain to take over his responsibilities after getting promoted to the rank of lieutenant colonel. This corresponds with an operation that he will have to command at Morro dos Prazeres in order to secure the location and rid it of drug dealers so that Pope John Paul II can spend the night in the home of the Archbishop, which is located in close proximity to the slum buildings and favelas. The operation will entail daily travels into the favela populated with heavily armed drug lords, and Nasamento is initially opposed to it. However, he is pushed by his superiors to accept it as his final mission due to the Pope's considerations and criteria, which cannot be cancelled. Neto and Matias make their first official debut as police officers during this time. Both of them are sincere and make an effort to steer clear of dishonest behavior, but they are quickly disillusioned by their superiors, who are corrupt. While Matias is charged with maintaining and paying attention to the police dispatchers as well as registering and filing every complaint in his small archive office with 2 other officers, Neto begins his time at the police auto mechanic shop as a supervisor, in charge of the mechanics who are fixing run-down police cars and bikes with parts from newer cars. They had known each other for a long time and currently live together in a cramped apartment in Rio. In addition to his job at the local police department, Matias is a law student at the best new law university in Rio, according to Nasamento. His classmates are depicted as well-off young adults who have a tendency to view the police as a repressive unit, while several others are shown selling cannabis around the campus. Matias's co-workers at the local police department tend to view the police as a repressive unit. Soon after, he makes friends with Roberta, Edu, and Maria. Every one of them has a job at a non-governmental organization, NGO, that helps underprivileged kids from a nearby favela. Roberta is in a relationship with Rodriguez, who assists Maria in the administration of the organization, in addition to representing a senator who is the NGO's sponsor. Every single one of them is a regular user of marijuana, and Edu is a salesman at his university for Baiano, the local drug lord. Baiano is the one who allows the NGO to exist as long as it doesn't interfere with his business or draw attention from the authorities. Because Matias conceals his past, none of the other students or dealers is aware that he used to be a police officer. As time goes on, Neto becomes dissatisfied with his mechanic job, but he cannot request a transfer to another department. By riding with his superior, Captain Fabio, he gains knowledge about corruption schemes implemented by police officers. Typically, proprietors of small businesses pay monthly bribes to the police in exchange for their presence in front of their establishments, which makes the enterprises safer. Matias learned of a second scheme, which involved moving dead bodies from one battalion's territory to the territory of another battalion. This was done to artificially lower the 1st Battalion's crime statistics and reduce the amount of work done by the department that was charged to the 1st Battalion. Matias learned this the hard way when his superiors became angry with him for overloading their department with files they were unwilling to solve. To add insult to injury, the local government did not have the funds to pay for tow trucks, so they hired private tow companies and paid them for each vehicle they towed. Since that time, towing vehicles has become a lucrative activity, and some corrupt law enforcement officials are shown to own tow trucks. Neto invents a scheme to take the payments that Oliveira regularly receives from the drug lords and begs Matias and Fabio to assist him in carrying it out so that he may amass enough funds to fix a large number of police cars all at once. Fabio does not accept the offer because he will not receive a portion of the profits. Oliveira believes that Fabio gave them the order to steal the money, so he leads Fabio to a baile funk in Babilonia, where he intends to hand him over to the gang so that they can kill him. Oliveira's plan works, and the duo is able to steal the money. Nevertheless, as Neto and Matias confront him, He tells them about the funk party and hints that he is going to be killed. After following them, Neto and Matias arrived at the vantage point to provide protection for Fabio. Neto pulls the trigger as soon as one of the other dealers touches his gun, causing the other dealer to be killed and igniting a firefight between the police and the other dealers. Fabio takes cover behind a bar and engages in a shootout with Oliveira's men while his two protectors fight some of the heavily armed dealers with only 2 pistols, a rifle, and a submachine gun, but they quickly run out of ammo. Meanwhile, Nasamento is confronted by a woman claiming the body of her son, who was killed by drug lords after being forced to confess by Nasamento, who was then released knowing of the danger. The woman claims that Nasamento is responsible for her son's death because he was forced to confess by Nasamento. Nasamento, who is experiencing feelings of remorse and is also considering the impending birth of his child, organizes some officers and goes looking for the body. Nasamento is notified of the situation at Babylonia and given the order to intervene just as they are torturing a member of the boys' group to get him to reveal where they have hidden him. After freeing the officers who were stranded at Babylonia, Nasamento meets with Matias and Neto and gives them the order to begin loading up bodies. The press photographs them in the process of lifting the body of a local drug boss as they carry out the order. They also find out that the training program at BOPE is about to start, and they quickly submit an application for it. Both of them come to the conclusion that they should give it a shot, and Fabio decides to accompany them as they flee from Oliveira. During this time, Rafael, Nasamento's son, is brought into the world. Baiano confronts Maria and her friends just as the NGO program is about to start. Baiano learned about Matias' job as an officer after seeing a picture of Matias carrying the body of a drug lord in a newspaper. Baiano reveals that the drug lord was his friend and a partner from another neighborhood with whom he has been dealing drugs. After issuing a threat to eliminate Matias, Baiano walks away from the situation. Until then, BOPE's training program takes place over the course of a few weeks in the jungles of Brazil and proves to be a difficult challenge. All of the enrolled officers are subjected to severe physical and psychological punishments and are trained under extreme pressure in order to eliminate the weak and, mainly, punish the corrupt, as Nasamento explains, as the goal is to eliminate all of the corrupt and mentally weak officers and only keep the honest and tough ones. In other words, the training Neto and Matias make it to the final level of the program, at which point they are introduced into Nasamento's final operation. Many officers drop out of the program, including Fabio, after he develops foot fungus and is forced to quit. In addition to that, Neto gets a BOPE tattoo. Now that Maria and her friends have rejected Matias, he confronts Edu and instructs him to organize a meeting with Romerito, a child with eyesight difficulties who he met at the NGO, and is now willing to present him with a set of glasses. Romerito is a friend of Maria's. Matias uses Edu as a hostage to coerce him into setting up the meeting at the slum's entrance so that he can be killed within the slum. Matias knows that he will only live through this ordeal once. Nevertheless, Neto reveals to Matias that he has scheduled a job interview for the same day and time, and he volunteers to go in Matias's stead in order to deliver Romerito's glasses. Baiano, the drug lord, learns through Edu that Matias has threatened him. As a result of this information, Baiano resolves to exact revenge on Matias for causing the death of his comrade and for interfering with his business activities. After returning Romerito's glasses to him, Baiano and his men apprehend Neto and bring him to justice. Before he can finish him off, Baiano notices a tattoo on Neto's arm and deduces that the man is a BOPE officer. As a form of retribution for inviting a BOPE officer into his slum, he abducts Roberta and Rodriguez, kills them by shooting Roberta in the head and necklacing Rodriguez, and then disposes of their bodies. He does this because he is aware that the murder of such an officer will spark an intense search for himself. After that, he goes into hiding in a slum area of Rio. A few times afterward, Neto passed away at the hospital. In their quest for vengeance, Matias, Nasamento, and the other BOPE cops they work with begin undertaking regular raids into Baiano's ghetto in order to torture criminals into providing information about Baiano's whereabouts. It is revealed by one of them that Edu informed Baiano about Matias's meeting, which in the end, resulted in Neto's passing away. In a fit of passion, Matias disrupts a peace walk, beats up Edu, and taunts Maria and the other participants, claiming that they are nothing more than spoiled hypocritical drug addicts who work for a dealer to provide for their labor. The movie ends with the authorities tracking down Baiano's exact location and conducting a search warrant on the slum. Baiano makes a try to escape, but as he makes his way across the rooftops, he takes a bullet to the leg. Baiano begs the captain not to kill him in the face when Nasamento has him at gunpoint so that he can keep his face for the wake. However, the captain does shoot him in the face. After that, Nasamento walks away, grabs a shotgun, hands it to Matias, and orders him to kill Baiano in the head as a final test to see whether or not Matias is worthy of being his genuine successor. Matias raises the firearm to the face of the drug boss, cocks the slide, and demonstrates evident hesitancy, but he does not point the rifle in the opposite direction. A single shot is heard just before the screen goes dark, signaling the end of the scene. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this and help the channel grow.